Hi, my name is Klaus. I'm a Focus Nordic ambassador. And in my little production company, I do a range of different productions. And depending on the production, I'll utilize either photography lenses or Cine lenses. Why would you want to use a Cine lens? There's a number of different reasons for using Cine lenses. And one of them, which I like, is that you have a better control over the lens. You have manual controls with focus. You have a De-Cliked aperture, and De-Cliked aperture means that you can move the aperture freely. And let me just show you over here. So the aperture just moves freely. There's no clicking like you have on photography lenses. Also, another reason for using this is the focus. You have a focus throw, a long focus throw. That means that you have to move the focus mechanism a lot to achieve the right focus. This means that you can be more precise and more subtle when you shift the focus. And when talking about focus, another thing you get on Cine lenses is, or you don't get actually, is something called focus breathing. And focus breathing, you can see it when you focus a Cine lens, everything stays put. The framing of the picture or the image is the same. But if you do that on a photography lens, a regular lens, you have an image that moves. So if you are shifting from background to foreground, you actually have a different view in the image. And that can be quite annoying. And that's a good reason why you want to use a Cine lens. A different or another thing is you have gears. On this lens, you have gears on the focus and you have gear on the aperture. And you can actually put on a follow focus like I have here. And you can move the lens focus very, very slow and very precise. You can actually also have a focus puller, and he can insert a focus puller mechanism into this and be pulling focus from a distance. You can also have another focus, follow focus, and use that for the aperture. So you can control the aperture either yourself, or you can have a guy or a girl controlling the aperture on the side. So I just want to get back to the manual versus autofocus option. If you want 100% precise control over the focus, do use a manual focusing lens. Even though we have cameras today that focuses and does an amazing job, it's always nice to be 100% in control. And that's the reason to go with a Cine lens. So today there's a big range of Cine lenses to choose from. And I have some of them here. I have some from Tokina. I have some from Samyang, the Cine CFs. I have the brand new Sirui 28-85 T3.2 Cine lens in a zoom range. I have the Cine Meisters over here, and also the primes from Sirui. So they each have different qualities. Some of them have soft contrast, some of them have a high contrast. So you have to choose which look you want to achieve. One of the things that differs photography lenses and Cine lenses is the f-stop on regular photography lenses and the t-stop on Cine lenses. And the numbers seem quite the same, but it's measured in a different way. On photography lenses, it's an f-stop, and that's a calculated value that comes from the size of the glass in the lens, whereas the t-stop on the Cine lenses is actually a measurement of the light that comes through the glass and moves in and hits the sensor. So that's it's a complicated thing, but it's two very different things. Another thing that differs on photography lenses in a zoom range and Cine lenses with zooms is that Cine lenses will give you a parfocal image. That means if you focus on a subject and you zoom afterwards, it will still be in focus with a Cine zoom, whereas on a photography lens, most often you focus, you zoom, and it's totally out of focus. So that's another great thing about zoom lenses in the Cine range. So let me briefly go over the range of Tokina Cine lenses. All the Cine lenses in this range covers 8K or beyond 8K and full frame. It's a total of 11 lenses and it ranges from 18mm to 135mm. They come in E mount, EF mount, MFT mount and PL mount like this one. All the lenses are zero focus breathing, which is very awesome. They have a 114mm front, which means if you deploy a camera with a matte box, which you normally would do with these types of lenses, every front is the same diameter. These lenses are typically used for motion pictures, Hollywood movies, and they are all Netflix approved. Tokina has a range of 4 Cine zooms, starting with this one, 11 to 20mm T2.9. This is a Super 35 lens. They have a 16 to 28 T3 lens, which is the only Cine zoom in the range that covers full frame. They have the 25 to 75 T2.9, which covers Super 35. And lastly, the lens I don't have here is the 50 to 135 T2.9, which also covers Super 35. All the Cine zooms have the same diameter in front, a little less than the 114mm on the primes. This has a 95mm. On all the Cine zooms and the primes, you have the placement of the gears in exactly the same position, no matter which lens you use. That's a great feature. So let me just give you a brief introduction to the Sirui Cine lens range, the Jupiter. Let's start out with the primes. The prime lenses consist of a 24, 35 and 50mm. They're all T2. They cover full frame and they come as standard in PL and EF mounts. You can buy adapters which will convert it to Sony E and Canon RF. You can buy an adapter if you want to buy a PL set. You can get a PL to Sony E mount and to Canon RF mount. Pretty nifty. And by the way, the adapters are really high quality. Prime lens range has the aperture gears and the focus gears in the same place on all lenses, making it easy when you're switching lenses. If you have a follow focus mounted on your rig, you don't have to shift that back and forth. So all the prime lenses have a macro function, which means you can get as close as 24 centimeters to your objects. They all have a 95mm front, which makes it easy if you have a matte box on your rig when shifting lenses. You can buy the Jupiter primes separately, or you can buy them in a kit. 3 lenses and you get the hard case with it. Now let's move on to the new bad boy in this lineup. This is a 28 to 85mm T3.2. It's a really aggressively priced Cine zoom, also called Jupiter. It covers full frame and it comes in PL and EF mount. Like the primes, you can get adapters to it. Here it's mounted on a Sony FX6 with the Sony E to Canon EF mount. The front on this lens is 114 millimeters and it has a 110 millimeter filter thread if you want to do separate filters instead of using a matte box. When you buy this Jupiter Cine Zoom, you get a nice fitted hard case, which can also contain the adapters. You should really go out and try these new Cine lenses from Sirui. They're really awesome. So let me just walk you through the Samyang Cine range. Beginning with the entry level, the VDSLR Mark II, they cover 14 millimeters to 130 millimeters. They are color matched, they all have Cine gears, and like all the other Samyang lenses, the gears are in the same position on all the lenses in the same family. These are in a non-metal housing, which also makes them very affordable. They come as a kit or you can buy them separately. Then over to my favorite, the Cine CFs. I've been using these for the last couple of years and they are very, very awesome. I shoot most of my stuff on a Sony FX6 and these lenses are really light and you can get away with using them without lens support. At least I do. The Cine CF goes from 16 to 85 millimeters. The 18 millimeter is a T2.6 and the rest of the range is a T1.5. They're very light. It's a metal carbon fiber housing and they're also very, very compact. And they just give you an awesome image, very nice contrast, and the bokeh on the 35 and the 85 is really, really sweet. And just in the Cine Meister lens range, it's the fastest Cine Prime lenses. It's a T1.3. They cover 8K. They come in PL mount, E mount, and EF mount. The PL version supports the eye technology protocol, which enables accurate lens metadata, and that gives you just a more effective production and post-production. Like the other lenses, they have the gears placed in the same spot on all the lenses, which makes switching lenses very, very fast. All Cine Meister lenses have a 114 millimeter front ring. Go out and shoot some stuff with these. They're really awesome.